you should develop clear understanding what kind of emotion is harmful, what kind of emotion is useful. Then everyone, you see, carrying themselves. So all this negative emotion is ultimately destruction, the destroyer of your own happiness, your own peace of mind.
Now, conscientious conduct also decreases neuroticism. There's a negative correlation between conscientiousness and neuroticism, and it looks causal in that more orderly and industrious people suffer less from negative emotion. Okay, and that's probably because they put their environments in order, right? They actually keep order in their immediate environment, so things are neat and orderly around them, but they also work hard so that the future is more stable. Okay, so then what else? There's an emergent literature showing that excess concern about the narrow self is associated with self-conscious suffering. So, for example, you can discriminate between people who are depressed and or psychotic and those who are not with about 75% accuracy by calculating the relative number of self-referential pronouns that are used in speech or writing of the people involved. And the more people concentrate on themselves, their narrow selves, the more miserable they are. And that's buttressed by findings showing that in the scales that measure trait neuroticism or negative emotionality, self-consciousness is actually a facet of the scale itself, which means that acute self-consciousness is so tightly associated with misery that they may be essentially the same thing. So now you can't really escape from that trap by consciously trying to think less about yourself, because if you start thinking less about thinking about yourself, you just end up thinking more about yourself. That's not helpful. But what you can do, this is extremely useful, is you can start thinking about how to put other people at ease and what you can do for other people, like how you can be of service. And paradoxically, because that takes the self-conscious stress off you, then your negative emotion levels will fall.
And there's this idea that if you're experiencing negative emotions, if you feel sad or you feel a little lonely or you feel a little upset at politics, whatever it is, that something's wrong, or you got to take a pill, or you got to do something to fix it, right? I think that's a really dangerous idea, right? Because it's getting rid of this signal that we've been built to experience evolutionarily that's really important, right? If you're experiencing outrage, that's telling you something super crucial. If you're experiencing kind of frustration, overwhelm is a big one. If you're kind of feeling, oh, I'm so overwhelmed at work and I'm burned out, that's a really useful signal about behavioral changes you should make. In class, I often tell my students that negative emotions are like that dashboard on your car. You go in your car and you're like, sometimes you're driving, the tire light comes on or the engine light comes on. And that's a pain in the ass, honestly, because you're like, I got to deal with it. So it's not fun when these lights come on, but it's super useful information that if you actively ignore it for months and months, is going to cause a much bigger problem later on. And I think this is how all of our negative emotions work. If you're feeling that, negative emotion of loneliness, it means you need more social connection. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it means probably got to take something off your plate before you burn out or get sick. If you're feeling sad, that's probably because of some stimulus that matters, that is you're not there anymore. If you're feeling grief and so on. I think too often we just want to get rid of those. We don't like them, so we want to suppress those emotions. But suppressing our emotions is giving up useful evolutionary information that probably means we can take action to fix and feel better.
Most people who are negative don't even know that they're negative. Only other people experience it. If you're beginning to know I'm negative, you're growing. Making some progress. Because this is the nature of your existence. If somebody comes close to you, if their mouth is smelling, you know his mouth is smelling. But if your own is smelling, your smelling instrument is sitting right here, inspector. Doesn't know. Hello? Right here. See, the nose is right here. It can't smell this, but it can smell that and that and that. This is the nature of your existence. So if you begin to see your own negativity, you're growing, you're progressing.